Hello everyone, this is Joel over here, and this is our 19th episode of our React series. And in this episode, we will be looking into the topic called what is use context. So, previously, we have seen two types of hook, which is use state hook as well as use effect hook. But here in this episode, we are gonna see the third hook, which is use context hook. So, why this use context hook is being used? Actually, it is a hook used to communicate from one component to other component instead of using props. I will just let you know what is the difficulty we will face while using props as well as while using this use context, which is better, which is efficient. We will just look over here. Okay. So for this, I will create a tree kind of structure of our component over here. We have home.jsx, create account.jsx, as well as counter.jsx. These JSX are the files which we created in the previous episodes. If you guys didn't watch it, please do check it over there. Fine. So right now we have three JSX files, right? Home.jsx, create account.jsx, and counter.jsx. And this is the rendered UI over here. Right now we are in home page, so we have home page component over here. Fine. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a tree kind of structure, which is I'm gonna place this create account JSX inside home.jsx as well as counter.jsx inside create account.jsx. So basically home.jsx will be the grandparent and create account.jsx will be the parent and counter.jsx will be the child over here. It's a kind of tree kind of structure over here. Let's do this based on how we do it in app.jsx or else in main.jsx. Same way we are just importing this create account from create account.jsx, and inside the return function under this fragmented thing, I'm just writing the tag for it. That's it. So now we have so now we have imported the create account inside this home page. So home page is the grandparent, and right now the home page is the parent and create account is a child over here. Fine. Now inside create account.jsx, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna import this counter from counter.jsx, and inside this return and inside this fragmented, same way I'm gonna import this tag over here, counter tag. So now if we check, at the top we have our counter component, at the second we have our create account component, and at the last we have home page component. So basically home page is the grandparent over here, create account is the parent over here, and count is the child account over here. Fine. So now let's assume we have a data in the home page and we wanted to display this data in the counter page. So as I said, we have two methods to do this, which is using props and using context hook. Let's first undergo with props and then we will just look into use context. So how we can pass this data from home.jsx to counter.jsx? Let's look into this. First, let me create a data over here. Const data is equal to, let's have it as something high data. Okay, so in home.jsx we have a data and we are just storing a value called high data as a string over here. We wanted this high data to be displayed in the counter.jsx. Okay, so as I said, we are going to pass this as a prop over here. So in create account tag, let me create a prop like saying it value. Okay, fine, let it be value. Inside this value, I'm gonna pass this data over here. Okay, create account tag, I'm just passing a prop called value, and the value is data, which is this data over here. Fine. Now inside create account.jsx, we have function, right? Here I'll just get the props and let me create a variable. Again, let it name it as data, because this data and this data is different because both are in independent component, right? So basically it's in nested, but the logic is independent over here. Okay, const data is equal to props dot value. Why value? Because we are sending this data in the name of value over here. Same props concept. If you guys didn't understand props, go check it out my episodes in my playlist over there. Okay, fine. Const data is equal to props dot value. And same way, in this counter, let me pass again this as a value itself as data. Okay, so now what we have done, we have created a data called hi data, and we have sent to create account using the name of value, and in create account we are receiving it as a props, and in the props we have taken it as a data and stored the value in a data, and we have again used this counter tag, and we have passing this data as a prop as to counter component using the name of value. Again in counter.jsx we are gonna use this props and get the thing. Again I'm just storing this in a data which is equal to props dot value over here, and it should not be in the curly braces. Okay, fine. And now we got the data in this variable over here, which is data. Now inside this return fragment I'll just create a h1 tag, and I'll just print this data over there. Okay, so now our h1 tag should hold the value called hi data in counter.jsx. Let's see. Fine, we got a hi data over here, but see, we have a data in the home page, but we need to display the data in the counter component, which is the grandchild of the home page, right? Instead of going directly from grandchild to the child, we're just moving through the, I mean, from grandparent to the child. We are moving from grandparent to the parent and then to the child. So this is called props drilling. Actually, we are just drilling the props. We have created a prop over here because home has the data. We have created a prop, and this prop is again be used in create account.jsx file, and we are just creating other prop, and we are passing this prop to counter.jsx, and again we are just displaying the value over here. So this is called prop drilling. If one or two or else three components, you can very well use this prop drilling, but if more than three or more than two components, it's very difficult to use this prop drilling. So here we use this use context hook over here. So basically we are gonna display the high data same as this method, I mean same as this format, but instead of using prop drilling, we are gonna use context hook over here. Okay, so how to do this? Let me first erase this all. Okay, so that you can better understand. Const data, and no need of getting props also. This is okay, fine. Create account. Let me remove this value. Okay, and no need of storing this props, and no need of getting the props. Even home.jsx, I no need to pass this prop. Okay, and in const data I'm just removing this prop also. Fine. Now we check the UI. Okay, we have the data which is high data in the home page. Fine. So before using the use context, we have to create the context because we are passing our own data, right? So we are gonna create the context. So in the import statement, we have to import something from the React package, which is import create context. You can see over here, right? Import create context from React. Okay. Now above the function home, which is outside of the home component, we are gonna create a variable called const data provider. Okay, or else you can name it as whatever you want, but right now I'm naming a variable called data provider, which is equal to create context. Okay, so outside the home component I'm just creating a variable called data provider, and I'm just creating the object of create context over here. Now we are gonna export this. That's it. We have created the variable called the object over here, and we are just exporting it over here. Fine. Now inside home, okay, I have erased the data. So let me create the data, which is data is equal to hi data. Fine. Now inside the home, we have const data, right? So now in return statement, we are just returning a fragment of HTML tags. Inside this HTML tags, I'm gonna use a one particular tag over here, which is called data provider. So this tag is nothing but the tag which we have used over here. This data provider is nothing but this data provider, and this data provider is gonna provide something, which is we are gonna pass a data to other components, which we are gonna provide a data. So dot provider. Okay, so data provider dot provider is gonna pass some data, and this is the closing tag of the data provider over here. Now we are gonna wrap this using this create account, which is the child component of this home component. So I'm just fragmenting this in the data provider over here. Okay, so I'll just order it properly. Fine. And one more thing, the P should be in uppercase. Okay, and even over here. Fine. Now we have created a data provider variable and we have exported this, and our data is const data is equal to high data, and using this data provider dot provider tag, we have wrapped the component tag over inside this data provider tag. Okay, fine. We have used this data, right? We didn't use this or map this data anywhere, right? To send this data, we are just gonna create a prop like something which is